I've walked the realms and the worlds they own. Grand civilizations have risen and fallen by my will. I have devoured the minds and seized the bodies of history's greatest rulers and conquerors. Potent beings have tried to destroy me, only to become mine. I've walked the worlds of strife, beset by eternal, pointless conflict. A plane occupied by beings built to destroy and be destroyed. I've stalked the vast realm of elements, savoring the incredible energy of its volatile inhabitants. I've menaced the abode of the spirits, an unsettling place, a constantly expanding nebula composed of its own denizens. My first domain was the nest of dreams, my home, a place where reality itself is in constant flux, shifting, twisting, continually in an utter state of chaos and inconceivable emotion. But in all my travels, I've yet to find a place comparable to the corporeal realm. Many tastes, the endless worlds, delicious. One such planet, Loomis, ravaged by astral gateways from countless realms, filling it with an astounding variety of life. I have walked so many realms, but Loomis has everything I need to sate my appetite. Not enough prattle. There is work yet to be done. Do not resist. Your mind,
your power, and your life are mine. You have become part of me.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another week of Tilted Table. I am Praveen, your host with the most, and this week, to celebrate International Tabletop Day, we're playing a new tabletop RPG called Endless Realms. We have the designer here to help us work through it, and we're going to show you guys exactly how this game goes through, just in time for the Kickstarter, I believe.
Yes, we're currently live on Kickstarter. We're already a third of the way to our goal, which was 38,000. And today we're basically just going to be kind of running through one of the introductory adventures we're kind of sharing out to people, and see whether you guys like the game and how things kind of roll.
Fantastic. Like I said, I'm Praveen, aka Hieroglyphics on Twitch. Would our other players like to introduce themselves?
Yeah, I'm Sam, aka DJ Fluffkins, on every platform imaginable.
Cynthia Young. This is my first time on Twitch.
Oh my god. Someone get her out of here. Sherman, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
So I'm the lead designer of Endless Realms. I came in about halfway through the development of the game, about 2 years ago. Kirsty, the creator, has kind of been working on this for about 4 years now, and just kind of like sprung up out of a kind of idea of whether or not it was actually possible if someone is attacking you, you still have a defense roll. You're not just kind of waiting on their dice roll to kind of see what happens to you. As far as gameplay goes, we also wanted to do set damages so that there wasn't a lot of really variability with it. So you didn't have something like you got a critical hit and it was like this big epic attack, and then you just roll a bunch of ones and you're just kind of sitting there like, yeah.
Yeah.
We wanted it damage to be based more around how well you did on your hit. So if you just beat their defense, then you get what's generally low damage. Whereas if you beat it by 3 or more, you get high damage. And it basically all kind of comes back to comparative rolls. So it's a really simple and easy game to play through. A lot of the more kind of complex things, if you like really crunchier games, all kind of comes from character building.
Yeah. Awesome.
We've
yeah,
also
that was very cool.
Spent, basically like the majority of the last 4 years just kind of making sure the world itself was fleshed out. So we wanted it to all kind of feel alive so that if you're playing through it, you feel like it's a real place and you're kind of playing with real people.
Sure. Would everyone like to do character introductions before we jump in? Well, shall we start with Mr. DJ Fluffkins? DJ Fluffkins, you have been democratically elected.
People who attack things. I don't know. I'm still reading, damn it.
They're sort of like a ranger.
Yeah, they're a ranger. So, but I think my Tiny Willow specific, I guess what I have decided for my character is that he is more of a more into like long range melee than like shooting things. So.
Well, so while we
tree.
go on to Cynthia's character, let me ask you this question. Is it messed up for a tree to shoot bow and arrow? They're like shooting their children out
that's
of a bow.
That's what I'm saying. I'm not shooting bows and arrows. I'm fighting them off with sticks.
Okay. Well, now you're just beating people with your children.
Yes. Well, they could still be attached with me. I don't know. We all have to grow up sometime.
That's what you tell them as you beam people with them.
Yes. Very true.
Cynthia, would you like to intro your character?
So my character's name is Acer Grok, of the Alvarkur race. Is that how you pronounce it?
Alvarkur.
Alvarkur. I am 7 feet tall, 540 pounds, huge. And as far as I can tell, the Alvarkur are sort of like large lions, or sort of feels like it. I am a knight of honor, or no, valor, rather.
For reference, I'm about half your height and a tenth of your weight.
Wait, you're 500 pounds and 4 feet tall?
540 pounds and 7 feet tall.
Wait, I thought Tiny Willow was like 2 feet tall.
Yeah, half height, 10th weight.
That's some hardcore NA math. Oh, okay. Continue. Okay. Wait. If I continue, that means it's my turn. I am Hatalm II, a Almiran dandy. So the Almirans are basically a race of all female. I guess like as soon as I heard the description, I just thought of Fran from Final Fantasy XII, like the Vieras. So all female, just I guess humanoid creatures with like rabbit ears. And the dandy class is basically like, it's kind of like a roguish archetype, similar to, like Three Musketeers style is kind of what I think of it as. They're very kind of, noble, but also the subpath of the dandy that I've chosen is the dilettante, which is a little bit more flirty, more charming kind of pathway that I've taken. I am 4'4" and 68 pounds, which makes me feel a little bit heavy compared to how 4'4" imagines in my mind. But I'm counting on Cynthia to carry us through this dark.
I was actually literally thinking, I think I can just put both of you on my shoulders.
Makes things easier for me. I mean, I bet you have a faster walking speed than me. Cool. Shall we jump right in? Does anyone have anything they would like to add? Ask. Question. No?
Nope.
Let's do it.
All right, so yeah, you guys find yourselves in Homestead's Hearth, a small kind of village located at the confluence of two rivers. You were all hired to basically just act as guards and transport for a small wagon of goods to the village, which is currently in the middle of kind of preparing for a fairly massive kind of midsummer festival. And upon reaching the city, you see most of the villagers are either skitty or humans. The village is fairly on the small side. There is a mill kind of running by the water. You can see a few shallow shepherds kind of tending to their muckwaller flocks. Muckwallers are basically sort of like a kind of cross between hippos and sheep. They just kind of live in rivers and water and generally provide basically clothes.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so you arrive in the village and you're greeted by Ren Metalla. He's a small little skitty who kind of comes up to you and meticulously kind of looks over all of the goods and make sure that everything is there and kind of where it should be. He kind of goes across his checklist and then nods his head and says, "Good, good, good. You've done an excellent job. Excellent." And then hands out your payment. He grants all of you 50 loon, which isn't really a substantial amount, but is kind of a fairly simple, easy job. And he mentions that he has arranged for all of you to spend 2 nights at the inn, but only 2. Any more, and you'll have to pay for it yourself. He does mention the festival is going to be in 3 days. You are welcome to stay if you would like, and engage in whatever festivities you would like.
I ask him if there's any arts or festival, like circus-like things going on, any spectacles that need to be seen.
He kind of thinks it over and mentions that the Lantern Festival off at the shrine is usually quite exquisite every year. But aside from that, we don't have too many big things. It's largely just a great feast for all of us to enjoy the time together.
I immediately demand that we witness the Lantern Festival. We've worked long and hard, and we've made our way to this town. It would be ridiculous to leave without seeing such an event.
I scoffed disdainfully.
I stand there quietly.
I ponder silently whether trees can actually speak. I still am confused about this. And then, knowing that my compatriots will not make any decisions for themselves, I wander into the village.
Yeah, so as you kind of wander through the village and just kind of get an idea of the layout of everything, there isn't really a whole lot to see in the village. It all seems fairly kind of... It's very much like the various other villages you've probably seen in your time kind of traveling around and adventuring. Just lots of very simple buildings here and there. You don't even actually see any sort of town hall in the city. It looks like everything kind of either revolves around the ranch, the watermill, or kind of like the grotto. You do find the inn that he mentioned as you're just kind of milling about. And it's actually a decent-sized inn. Overall, the folks all kind of seem like they're just rushing about and making sure everything's kind of like ready for this new festival kind of coming out. You do hear some kind of words here and there from just random gossip. Some people mention kind of like noticing a few things going missing here and there. There's talk about some of the food not being quite ready or not having been ordered, and there's kind of a few people kind of mentioning a few names about here and there. Some rumors that basically the festival guide may have kind of pilfered a few goods. But aside from that, it's all just kind of regular townsfolk things.
I quietly mentioned to my allies that it seems odd that people are talking about this without taking any action, and that our honor demands that we help them.
What is the name of the man who's been pilfering goods?
If you actually kind of go up to someone and ask, they mentioned that it was Landy Jusk. He was a human, and basically they mentioned they're a little suspicious that so many things have gone missing, and a lot of the things he ordered just either didn't come in or just kind of seemed to vanish. So they kind of assumed that he either just didn't order them and just pocketed the money, or maybe kind of kept it for himself.
I asked
find Landy.
They mentioned that he's actually currently near the grotto, which is where the town's shrine is, and they say he's basically last they heard he was going over a few last minute things.
I suggest that we should do this intelligently, and that we should try and sneak up on him and spy on him to make sure he's actually at fault, and this isn't just someone else framing him or some blatant rumor mongering.
I'm already walking towards the grotto.
I'm already there too.
I look around to make sure no one's looking, and then I chase after them as if to seem that I was leading them. I sprint to the front of the group and then we leave the building.
So yeah, when you find the grotto, it's largely just a small collection of kind of like shrines and ceremonial gates, all kind of built up around this huge and ancient oak tree. You do see a priest nearby who's just kind of like speaking to another man, and you see a number of small like gifts of food kind of just laying about the shrine, and the priest seems to be kind of arguing with the other man, saying like something seems off. I think we should delay the festival. While the other man's like, we have to start this. We have to get everything right. Everything needs to be here and ready to go. And they just seem to be kind of arguing back and forth in the same sort of vein for several minutes if you just kind of watch things.
Mm-hmm.
I boom out loud, "Where is Landy, pilferer of goods?"
The man the priest was talking to kind of looks over at your group and steps forward. And who are you to accuse me,
I am Acer Grok of the Terror Clan. I will protect all the people whose goods have been pilfered.
I didn't take anything. Nothing.
We would never suggest such a thing. My ridiculous companion was overstating our actual purpose. We were simply here to enjoy the festival, and we overheard a few whispers. We thought that it might be useful to meet such a marvelous man such as yourself who is organizing this festival for this town. Do you know anything about these rumors? Please ignore my giant friend here.
I draw myself up to my full height.
I'm going to start sneaking around.
As you kind of like talk him up a bit, he seems to look a little more like kind of self-righteous and kind of self-important. He's like, finally, someone who sees the hard work I put into this festival. They chose me as the festival guide for a reason, like I would steal anything.
I ask him if he knows what is actually happening to all these goods, if he is not in fact stealing them.
He just kind of shakes his head a bit, and he's like, if I knew that, I would have solved this myself. Things have been going missing throughout the entire town, and I just don't know what to do. I try and look into it myself more deeply, but I'm so busy preparing for the festival. And then there's all those rumors flowing about that I was doing it. Preposterous. Preposterous.
Can we do a character check?
Yeah, you can do a judge character.
I'll do a judge
How
character
exactly
check.
does that? Who's good at
It's one of your talents.
I have a 1 in judge character.
I have a 2.
So do I.
This is messed up that I'm worse than the giant, like, fearmonger and the tree.
Hey.
Well, he's got to know when people are afraid of him, you know?
Wait, so do I just do a 1d10 for this?
1d10 plus the judge character value you have.
Okay. 11.
Okay, I'm not gonna roll.
Okay, yeah. You very easily get a read. This guy is completely see-through. Completely, you know everything there is to kind of just, from his overall demeanor to kind of, you get like a perfect kind of sense of who he is. And as you're just kind of like looking him over as you guys are all kind of conversing, you get the general sense that he is being honest, and he is very kind of frustrated and stressed out at everything that seems to be kind of going on around town. It seems like he is under a lot of pressure to kind of make sure this goes well, and the fact that all these things are kind of vanishing and all of the blame is being put on him, it seems to be just getting him kind of really kind of just stressed about the entire situation.
I asked him if he would like us to look into the problem. As outsiders, we have an objective view of the situation, and nobody would suspect us.
He nods his head and says that does make a lot of sense. I tried going to the I tried going to the headsman of the town, but he just brushed it off and said that the city making sure the festival went off was more important than looking for any goods. To be perfectly honest, I can't really promise anything to any of you just now. If you can solve this, I will see that you're paid, but I don't really know what that payment is really going to be at the moment. I'm sorry to say, but if you do want to look into this, I would be immensely grateful to all of you.
I asked him what he's missing, but I'm standing behind him.
He actually kind of like jumps a bit and looks around and sees the small tree person. Hello there. We were missing many things. There have been some blankets and other assorted goods that just kind of vanished here and there. Some people mentioned missing lamps, but for the most part, it's largely been food. Some wine barrels in particular, various fruits and vegetables that we'd kind of gathered together for the feast. It's just vanished over the last month or so.
Do you have any extra like food items around? Like basically, I hinted the fact that I'm really small and that perhaps I could fit into one of the containers. He could use me as bait.
He kind of thinks it over and says, "We do have a few empty barrels and boxes around the town that we could probably use. I don't know where we'd put you to see if you go missing, though."
In the background, I roll my eyes so hard that my entire body like does a rotation, and I ask him if there's anyone that he would suspect of such a heinous crime.
Within the city? No. I can't think of anyone in the city who would want to ruin the festival or steal from anyone
How about
else.
outside the city?
There have been some other travelers kind of coming through, but most of them are distant family to members of the village. I can't imagine any of them would want to steal from us. I mean, we're just a small, close-knit community.
But what about, I asked him about the argument he was just having with the man who looked like a priest as we walked in, or walked here.
He's just kind of, he's always a bit jumpy, you know. Soroa's kind of, he tends to get really tense around these sort of things, saying that the omens are wrong, or that the spirit might be angry at something. It's just his general kind of gist, you know. I don't think it's anything actually serious.
Is the priest still in our general vicinity?
He's not in incredibly close, but you do see him tending to kind of like one of the shrines nearby. And after a moment, he kind of walks over to the massive oak tree, and you notice him kind of pruning it a bit and just kind of making sure that nothing seems to be kind of going wrong with the tree.
I walk over to him.
He seems to kind of still be focused very intently on the tree.
When everyone else leaves towards the priest, I suddenly tell Landy that I tell him that for a small fee, we could potentially insinuate another member of town if he's so inclined.
It's like I mean, that could be an idea. I don't know if it's needed now, but if you can't find anything, it would definitely take some pressure off of me.
I hint that it would be a not exorbitant amount of money, but not a small fee either. And then I slink towards my companions who are intimidating this priest.
I kick Hitam in the chins.
I ask the priest what he knows of these missing goods.
Yeah, as you speak up, he turns to you, and he's of note, he's actually a skitty. They're kind of a smaller, sort of weasel-like race. He kind of turns to you, looks at you, who is massive compared to him. He's shorter than Hitam, but taller than Tiny Willow. And he just kind of looks at you. I can't really say much about any missing goods. I mean, there have been some offerings here at the shrine that have gone missing, but nothing serious. Just a little bit of food here and there. Usually you see it every now and then. It's usually just some wild animals coming in to gather it.
I noticed the food that's been offered up around the tree and ask him the significance of the event and if he thinks it's odd that food is going missing, but food is also being laid about in front of this tree.
Well, this is all offerings to the great forest spirit who watches over our town. We grew this tree after nearly a century just to act as a sort of conduit to allow us to allow communication with the spirit to be easier. I mean, the offerings are normal, just what we always do. I can't really say there's anything odd about the food going missing. I mean, it is strange. I don't know who could be doing it, but I don't think there's anything special about it. Just seems like the normal stuff that just kind of goes missing here and there.
All right, so I'm gonna roll a judge character check.
Okay.
Whoop, whoop.
Nice.
Ooh.
All right. Okay. So, as you're just like getting a feel from, he seems to be a fairly upfront individual. He doesn't really seem like he's really hiding anything, but you notice that he sort of has like a nagging kind of. It looks like he has a nagging worry about something. Like he's a little on edge. You notice him kind of like eyeing the tree every now and then and looking off towards the forest nearby. Of note, the nearby forest has a single massive tree peeking up over the forest top, and he keeps kind of eyeing both the tree in front of him and the massive tree off in the distance. But yeah, he doesn't seem to really be particularly hiding anything other than just the fact that he's worried about something.
I go up to him and I say, "Sir, I've heard much about your wondrous religion. I've wandered from far on a pilgrimage to your village. I come before you to learn more. Could you please tell me about the great forest spirit? And I also noticed there's that big tree over there. A little bit about that too, you know."
He nods his head and you're like, yes, that is the home of Sindala, the forest spirit who watches over our village. We grew this tree here to act as a conduit between the two trees so that we can offer our prayers to it from a distance. Sindala doesn't really like people entering the forest and causing disharmony. So we try and make sure that we only gather what good Sindala helps to offer to us, and that we don't take more than we need from the forest. Yeah, he kind of he seems to like really kind of get into it once you're starting to talk to him about like what he likes, and kind of he just kind of starts like mentioning all the different kind of prayers you can do to Sindala, and basically all the different rituals that take place here at the shrine. Funerals, births, marriages, all kind of use this shrine here, with people either walking forward or backwards through the gates during different events. They always pass coffins through the gates when basically as a sort of symbolic gesture of passing the person's spirit kind of off to wherever they go to.
I asked him the same question I asked Landy, and I asked him if he has any suspects for the missing food. I mentioned that Landy mentions that the headsman tried to brush off the entire event.
He definitely nods his head at that and says, yes, the headsman is always kind of more concerned of making sure the festival is as big and grand as possible. He doesn't always kind of see the more important things. It definitely does sound like him. He thinks it over for a bit, and after kind of carefully considering your words, he shakes his head. He's like, I really can't imagine anyone in our town wanting to steal from each other. I suppose it could have been a brigand from outside, but no one's really seen anyone skirting about the outskirts of the village. We don't really go deeply into the forest other than usually a couple times a year when I guide the loggers to gather wood that's been kind of set forth from us by Sindala. So I mean, I suppose they could have been hiding there, but I really don't think Sindala would allow such a thing. There has been some talk about some creatures seen up near the cliffs to the north of the village, but aside from that, I can't really imagine anyone would want to hurt each other or take from each other here in the village.
How is logging monitored in this village?
Oh, it's normally monitored by me actually. It's given that Sindala watches over and ensures we always have bountiful harvests and good weather. It's generally not considered right for us to kind of take too much from the forest. So we generally only go into the forest at specific times of the year when Sindala messages that there are specific dead trees that need to be removed, and then we go in and kind of gather anything gather what Sindala has set forth for us.
And would Sindala be able to tell you if someone were gathering more trees than was allowed?
I mean, Sindala normally doesn't speak so directly to us. It's normally with signs like the birds or the leaves fluttering, and being able to interpret those is quite difficult. I mean, I suppose we could speak to Sindala directly, but as I mentioned, Sindala isn't really very comfortable with people kind of milling about his forest too much.
I look at Tiny Willow and look at the tree.
He does kind of nod his head after a moment and says, well, yes, I suppose he would be more comfortable with your friend being the one kind of leading you through. That does make a certain amount of sense.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it. I asked him if he would be willing to take us in. We believe that this is important enough to risk angering Sindala as well.
He nods his head and he's like, yes. First, of course, we must do the proper benedictions to ensure that you guys are ready to enter the forest. And he basically kind of gathers some water and kind of like sprinkles it over each of your heads. He kind of actually has to kind of pull out a large, very, very tall step stool to kind of get to the top of your Ulvarkir friend. Kind of quickly scurries up it and kind of lets his cupped hands dribble the water over your head. He says a few prayers to Sindala and kind of nods his head and says that should do. If you'll follow me, we should be on our way shortly.
As we leave, I bend over and rub my hands on Tiny Willow's head and just I mentioned to Iser, I say, oh, just for good luck. Don't worry about it.
I kick him again in the shins.
This time I dodge nimbly.
I think I just pick up Tiny Willow and is it a he or she? He? I put him on my shoulder.
I'm okay with this.
So yeah, the grotto is on basically like the north part of town, and so you're already kind of fairly close to the forest that you need to kind of enter to get to the massive tree just kind of peeking up over the forest top. And he guides you along various kind of like paths through the woods. As you're entering further and further into the woods, you actually notice several animals just kind of staring at you. There's just like it's a little odd in that like all of them are all just staring directly at you as you just kind of go about. There's a few squirrels here and there just kind of like eyeing you from some tree branches. There's like a fawn off in the distance just kind of like keeping its eyes on you. And after a fair bit of travel, it takes you probably about 20 minutes of just kind of like continuously moving through the woods. You eventually get to a clearing around the massive tree. And in the clearing, strewn about are some fairly strange creatures that upon seeing you kind of start screeching. They are, I believe you had the images for the Bagboo?
Potentially.
I don't think I do.
I don't know if Joseph was able to send them last night, but let me pull this up here.
A description should be fine though.
Yeah. Just need to
No, we don't have
open this. All right, so the creatures look almost monkey-like. They have these really, really long tails that they're kind of just a lot of them are just kind of like jumping around in the tree and just like hanging about. They have really, really wide faces and their ears kind of like jut out quite far. And they all have like tiny little clawed hands. And they're all just kind of like screeching about and yelling when they see you kind of enter into the clearing.
I fold my ears to prevent the noise from deafening me, and I ask the priest if this seems normal.
He kind of looks at me like, no. I didn't think the forest spirit allowed anything to really disturb its home here. This is most strange.
Can I perform an animal handling check to get them to silence?
You do have a. You could, yeah.
Okay.
Just
13.
Killing it.
okay. Of note, whenever you critically succeed on a roll, which is a 10, you get to add basically a +5 to the final result.
18.
Okay.
18.
If you critically fail a roll, you end up doing the reverse. You get a -5 to your final result.
Critically fail being a 0.
Oh, yeah.
1.
You basically roll
Oh,
one.
1, yeah. Duh.
Okay, and
How does the D10 work?
You don't know. I could have scratched off the 1 on the 10.
okay, and okay, yeah. So
Wow.
They seem really, really angry and kind of like aggressive, but you expertly kind of manage to, despite being this giant hulking figure, you expertly manage to kind of like calm them down and soothe them, and just like just kind of like set them all kind of a lot more, get them into a more kind of like calm state. And after a few minutes of this, they just kind of all kind of calm down, and some of them start kind of like crawling over you.
Ooh.
Could we detect the
I
source
jump
of their
off.
distress at all?
What was that?
Can we detect the source of their distress?
You
Is it
Not-
us?
I suggest that Tiny Willow communes with the wood, as his people do.
Are we by the tree?
you are in the clearing around the tree.
Okay. I guess I walk up to the tree, and I guess I'll use. Can I do like a wilderness check? Like, do I notice anything about the tree? That's like
Yeah,
specifically.
you could do a wilderness check. Although yeah, as you actually approach the tree to kind of get a better look at it, it is fairly obvious that the tree isn't really normal, given both its kind of like size and just the way it seems to be kind of growing out. As you begin to step closer and closer to the tree, a figure almost seems to kind of pull itself out of the tree, and a large kind of wooden being steps forward. He doesn't quite look like you do. Less like
He's a normal
kind of,
height, basically.
Hey.
he's actually large sized. He's even bigger than your Olvarkir friend.
Ooh. Okay.
The figure kind of like seems to pull itself free from the tree and says, "You, why have you come to my clearing?"
The village seems to be amidst with people who are stealing our offerings. We came here to see if something had disturbed the forest.
He kind of looks you all over and eventually settles his eyes on Tiny Willow and says, he nods his head and says, yes, the food has been taken by these. And he kind of just like waves towards the various monkey-like creatures who are kind of bouncing around, many of which have all kind of like started to crawl around your Olvarkir friend here.
I step away, visibly creeped out by the monkeys, and I ask if the monkeys were obeying the spirit's commands, or if they were acting on their own.
He shakes his head. It is their way. They take what they need from those who have it.
Do they have a leader?
He just shakes his head. And you get the sense that he's just, you sort of get the sense that he's kind of annoyed. And he shakes his head and says like, no, they follow no one, but they generally stick close together and follow each other's leads whenever possible.
I ask him if it bothers him that the goods are gone, or if he even cares. They were to be his offerings, after all.
He shakes his head no and says, the offerings are left for the animals to take, as they are indeed meant for them. I do not see any reason why it would be a problem. However, as he's just kind of like talking to you, a few of the bagboos start kind of moving a bit away from the Olvarkir and start crawling about the tree again. And you notice them just kind of like seem to twitch a little bit. And they just start like basically kind of monkeying about, and he just starts to seem to get more and more annoyed as time goes on, and he eventually
Would you like us to dispose of the monkeys for you?
As you say that, he actually roars forth. And what do you mean by dispose?
Take them somewhere else.
I wink.
As you say that,
Very
he
winkly.
nods his head and he's like, yes, yes. If you could find them another home, that would indeed be a blessing.
I suggest to the priest that he take them in, as they are the favored creature of his god, after all.
As you say that, the spirit, the large wooden figure, kind of seems to say, "I favor none. All should live in harmony within the woods."
I try to motion over to the monkeys to sort of get them to follow me, and I just start walking back to the village.
Yeah. So you kind of you've already kind of generally kind of gotten onto their better kind of nature and gotten them kind of corralled, and they do start following you. On your way back, things seem a lot more peaceful in the woods. You don't really see any creatures kind of acting oddly. They're all just kind of going about their just regular business. As you get closer and closer to the village, actually, let me get. So, can I get a defense roll from Hitom?
I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, it was.
Let me see. So, what is the defense modifier? Is there not a modifier for it?
Yeah, it's in the combat section, about like halfway down the character sheet.
Oh, yes. Wow, that didn't work. Come on. Wait a second. Oh, that's why. Holy moly. There we go. An 8.
Okay, and can I get awareness checks from everyone?
Does awareness
Yes.
have a modifier? Oh wait, is it the 5?
Yeah, it's in your inherent stats.
Okay. So is it 1d10 plus the awareness modifier?
Yeah.
Okay. 14. Oh wow, I'm rolling nicely.
10. What are these garbage rolls
Oh wait,
I'm
no,
getting?
9. Never mind. I was looking at someone else's.
Oh, okay. Hold on. I'm still rolling.
I don't like this one bit.
Okay, I also rolled a 14.
Okay, so yeah,
Holy moly,
Owen?
the tree has a +6 on awareness? What is this?
so no one really noticed
one
it
with
or
the
anything.
ground.
You guys just continue on your journey, and eventually you'll get back to the town, and the monkeys are just kind of like all following around the Albark here for the most part. As you reach the grotto, the head priest kind of looks over the group of the creatures and just kind of mentions to basically Hitom, because you seem to kind of be the one talking a little bit more than the others. I don't really know if it's a good idea to keep these in the town. I mean, they are wild animals after all.
I tell him that our friend seems to have tamed them pretty well. Why would he suggest that they're so wild?
Well, I mean, we don't really know a whole lot about them. We don't know what they need and how they'll act around town and whether they might get into any sort of trouble.
I ignore him and continue walking.
I explained that they're the ones responsible for the theft of the food, but that the forest spirit does not seem to mind this and thinks that the food should be for the animals anyway.
So maybe we should leave them at the shrine, I say.
He says, I suppose that's definitely it does seem like a good idea, and kind of like nods his head as he's seeming convinced of all of this. And yeah, you guys kind of gather them together, and presumably you're like, stay.
I gesture to the tree and like sort of shoo them up the tree.
Yeah,
I say,
they'll
wow,
just
that
kinda
was
start
easy.
climbing about it, and you see the priest seem kind of like tense as they're just rummaging about in the tree. That he's kind of like seeming to spend his life just kind of like caring for, and he just like no, wait, watch out, no, don't touch that. But aside from that, yeah, everything they all seem to be kind of staying in the tree and milling about the shrine for the most part.
I say, mission accomplished. Let's go get our money. So I suggest that. So the festival is in how many days? Or was
It's
it
in
supposed
3 days.
I suggest that, seeing as we've accomplished our mission, we should rest for the night and await the festival.
I agree with the former, not the latter.
Tiny Willow, break the tie. And please agree with me, remembering that I'm twice your size.
I kick you in the shins.
I mutter that I hate everything and everyone in this entire world, and I walk towards the inn.
I follow.
I round back.
You get to the Weary Wanderers Inn. The innkeeper is also a skitty, and he's like, welcome. I hear you already have rooms. Everything's been prepared. You have bedding. You have pillows. Everything should be fine.
Fantastic. We are, of course, famed adventurers.
Oh, indeed. You should regale people in the inn with your stories. I'm sure many would like to hear about the various many adventures you have all gone on.
I suggest that I shall awe them with my heroic tales and accomplishments, but I shall require a not unsubstantial amount of alcohol to do so, free of charge.
Oh, well, I suppose we can get a bit of liquor flowing and see where things go from there.
I nod joyfully and slink towards I assume there's some kind of stage or something. Actually, no, I don't go towards the stage. I, in fact, choose a table most surrounded by occupants and climb onto the table.
Okay.
I begin telling them about the awe-inspiring adventures of my childhood, the way I learned everything, accomplished all that could be accomplished, and was basically the most beautiful person alive. And then I launch into the tale of our adventure today, hoping beyond hope that they would feel odd enough to give me some kind of compensation for all the hard work of talking I did today.
Yeah, so as you're just kind of like regaling everyone, the inn proprietor kind of brings you a mug of ale, and everyone seems to be kind of pretty engrossed in your stories. When you mention like your mission today and like the things you did and traveling into the depths and the heart of the forest, some of the people kind of comment like, wait, you brought the thieves back?
I tell them, no, that's not the point of the story. The point of the story was how cool I looked doing it. But yes, they were not thieves. They were, in fact, the preferred animals of the forest spirit.
But they're the ones. You're saying they're the ones who stole our blankets and the various other things around town?
I ask, weren't those meant to be offerings?
No. I mean, there's offerings at the shrine, but the rest of it was all for the feast.
I
I'm
continue on
ignoring
with my
all of
story.
this, and I'm just eating in the corner of the table, completely ignoring everything.
It's
Tell
pretty
them it
good
was
food.
Tiny Willow's idea. He told us to bring them back. He's in collusion with the tree spirit. He wanted them here all along.
A lot of the people just kind of like seem to be a little bit kind of bothered by the fact that the creatures have all kind of been moved into the town, and seem to be kind of worried about whether their goods are going to be safe.
So I get up and make a joke about how Hatam is just way too drunk right now, and just say our big friend over there has helped tame the creatures, so they shouldn't bother you anymore. They should just take the food offerings that are provided at the shrine.
While Tiny Willow says this, I vehemently deny my drunkenness and then promptly fall off the table.
I am continuing to.
I do not catch him.
Well, that would have been more of a squash than a catch. Let me suggest that. But once I land, I ask the people what they would have us do. Would they rather offend their god or lose a few blankets?
Well, the group kind of like seems to kind of split into a few different seeming like factions as you mentioned this. There's some groups that are just kind of like nod their head and go along like yeah we definitely can't we can't offend the great forest spirit. I mean that would bring ruin to our city. And there's others who are like but we can't, how can we survive if all of our things keep going missing, while others are like trying to kind of just keep the general peace between the various people in the room. But yeah, everyone seems to be kind of like breaking into these various arguments about what needs to be done.
I stand up, stare at the group menacingly, and ask, "Is there somewhere else we can take them?"
I mean, where did they come from before?
The forest where they were annoying your god. Is there another forest we could take them so they could annoy someone else?
Well, I suppose so, but there are a few other forests nearby. But if you wanted to get them outside of the Great Forest Spirit's domain, I don't know how far you'd have to take them. And I mean I wouldn't want them too close. Was there some? Do you know if there was any place they lived before they moved into the forest?
I suggest it's not our problem, but as Tiny Willow is a tree and there are trees in forests, I suggest that he should know the answer.
Okay, I guess I'm gonna make that wilderness check now. Let's see. Okay, I lost it. Where is it? Oh, it's here. There we go. Oh shit.
You unfortunately don't know too much about the creatures. There's something you have never seen before, despite being not particularly advanced or anything. You're just they're weird monkey things.
I intend to whisper, but I actually say it extremely loud, as I am slightly drunk. I go, "Stupid, useless tree. I knew they were never good for nothing."
I laugh it off and dance like I was a monkey. Trying to entertain the crowd.
Of note, Hitam, you actually, as you're just sort of basically just enjoying yourself, you do notice something with your just general clothes. Your money purse is actually gone.
I freak out and I jump back onto the table and I say, "Which one of you no good buffoons stole all my money?"
They're all what? How dare you accuse us of stealing? We would never.
I demand that Iser shuts down the door, lock down the town, nobody leaves until I check all of them, and I have Tiny Willow one by one search them all.
What? I refuse.
They all seem to be kind of like several of them are already a little drunk, and they're like, "What? I refuse. I refuse.
I tell them that you're all tiny mortals, and I have a giant lion friend.
I growl.
Yeah. Some of them kind of take a few steps back at the hulking Ulvark here, growling at them. And they say, they say, we didn't steal anything. No one would. Why would we
it must
steal?
It must be those damn monkeys.
I look around to notice.
Yeah. Why did you bring them here?
Now it's real though, guys. Now we're taking back my money. I don't care about their blankets, but we're getting my money back.
Do we perceive any of the monkeys like skulking about, or?
There's none in the bar.
I look around to see if there's anyone who's clearly not drinking in the bar.
As you're actually as the two of you are thinking about it, Tiny Willow and his good friend Acer here. You actually don't remember seeing his money bag anytime recently. Or her money bag.
So maybe she lost it earlier then. Or got stolen.
The only people we interacted with though were the priest, the organizer,
the monkeys earlier in the clearing.
Yeah, and then also, I guess those were the farmer, but the farmer paid us, and I put it in my wallet, or my purse, and we were good to go. So it must have been either the monkeys, the priest, or the organizer.
Yeah, the two of you don't really remember seeing his wallet since you guys came back from the woods.
I start walking back towards the grotto where the tree is.
I try to drag Tom in the direction.
Oh God!
as he's blacked out from all the alcohol.
Yeah, you guys kind of head back towards the grotto, and upon reaching there, you see the priest just kind of like being very antsy and just kind of like milling about as he watches the little monkey creatures just kind of jump around over everything, knocking over some offering dishes here and there as they just kind of like basically muck about.
Do they seem to have pouches or anywhere where
you do notice one of them wearing a pouch around its neck.
And is that one within reach?
It's currently climbing about the tree.
I jump onto the tree and attempt to chase down the monkey.
Give me a climbing check.
How drunk are you?
While he's doing that, I grab hold of the tree and I shake the tree.
Hey!
The priest begins like yelling, no, what are you doing?
Apparently I'm very drunk.
Yeah, you start scrambling about and then you just kind of like slide down it a bit.
All right.
The priest seems immensely distressed as you're just kind of like shaking this tree back and forth as the monkey starts like screaming and yelling.
Do they start falling?
He doesn't fall, but he grabs a pouch and he chucks it at your head.
I grab the pouch.
Can I get a defense roll from you?
Defense. So how does this work again? So it's 1d10 and then
your combat defense modifier.
So I'm trying to find this on my nose.
It's right below the the trainable and inherent abilities.
Oh, okay. Yes, find it. Found it. 6.
He beans you in the head with it.
Wow.
He gets you like as you're just like you're just shaking the tree. He chucks it like right between your eyes, just a solid blow right in the middle of your head.
I blink it off.
I'm only concerned with how much money was inside there.
You took 3 damage.
Wait, did I take damage from that?
Yeah, it was a surprisingly hefty throw.
I'm a wealthy individual.
3.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, there's a lot of coins in there. Of note, you do have a damage reduction in your combat stats.
Oh, okay.
So you do get to remove that from any damage you take.
Wait, I get to remove 10 damage?
Okay.
Are you
What?
a knight?
Yes.
Probably yes. Or are
So I
you
take
looking at
It's a lot of damage reduction.
So yeah, there's like the blunder damage reduction and
Yeah.
so yeah.
What a beast. Money has no effect on you.
Has the pouch
I
fallen
grab
to the
my
floor
purse.
now?
Yeah. After it hits you in the head, it just kind of like falls off to the side.
I scrabble on the ground and grab it.
Yeah. If you look inside, all of your money does appear to be there.
Made it.
Okay, these are clearly troublemakers. We need to get them out of the village. I start leading them outside the village, but not in the same direction that we took them from. So
Okay,
whatever
they're
the
walking away.
opposite direction is.
They don't seem to really want to follow you.
I asked the priest if he thinks the forest spirit would really mind if we killed them. Is that an option still?
I suppose he could, but I don't think the forest spirit would prefer that. He'd rather we live in harmony with each other.
I asked my compatriots and I tell them I never liked that spirit anyways. I say we just do it.
He does mention that there are some caves to the north that might make a good home for them, but I don't know how well you do climbing up or into any of the caves up there.
Is there like something that looks like a sack or a bag or something that we could stuff these monkeys in?
No
Crate,
massive.
a barrel, a monkey in a barrel.
He kind of thinks that he's like, I don't think we have any sacks quite large enough to fit them all in.
How about some barrels? We could roll the barrels out. Empty barrels that used to hold ale.
I suppose we have some of those. You don't think it might be a little problematic to just roll them around in barrels, do you?
I suggest that. So the forest spirit mentioned that there was a leader of the monkeys, right?
No, he mentioned there was no leader of the monkeys.
Oh, he said there was no leader.
There was no leader.
These monkeys can't even run a democracy. Jeez.
I look around for a barrel and see if I can find one. Can I find a barrel anywhere?
You can find a few barrels here and there. Not large enough to fit all of the monkeys, but you could probably get like a decent number into them.
Do we don't have anything to like
walk back.
do we have anything to trap them with, like rope or anything like that? Oh, wait. I know what we can do. Guys. I really reluctantly do this. I take some coins out of my purse, my wallet, and I like breadcrumb them on the ground and like hide in a bush.
Yeah, they immediately jump down and start scrabbling around to grab up all the coins and head towards the bush.
I take the barrel and like slam it over them.
Yeah.
There are about like 7 of them, and you can fit about like 3 of them into the barrel. Without just like really like trying to jam them in. And
I ask Tiny Willow where he thinks we should take them. The priest mentioned the caves to the north, but I asked him if he thought they would actually stay in the caves.
So I'm gonna do another wilderness check to see if I know of anything, or geography check, I guess, if I know anything in the area. Damn it! I'm useless.
You think it over, and you're like, you don't know. You're just kind of think.
So
I've never really been in these parts.
So I suggest we try the cave thing, but then just bring food offerings, or figure out a way to like bring shiny objects to them.
I start looking for more barrels.
I asked the priest how difficult the caves truly are, and if he thinks the monkeys will stay there, or if there's another wood that we can take them to.
It's like, yeah, he kind of thinks it over and says, I suppose you could try taking them to another wood, but I don't know if they feel comfortable around here. I don't know if they'd want to leave. I think they'd probably stay in the caves if you could make sure the caves are currently cleared out and available for them. But yeah.
Okay. I say that now that we know how to get them to follow us, we should scout out the caves, make sure they're clear, and then come back and lead all the monkeys there.
Let's do it.
I agree.
I tell the priest you're gonna have to deal with those monkeys for a little while longer.
3 less of them, because 3 of them are in the barrel now.
Yeah, in order to punish them for taking my wallet in the first place, I refuse to allow anyone to take them out of the barrel. They're stuck there until we come back. And then I walk off towards the caves.
He seems a little unsettled that they have to stay here for longer than they have to, given that they're already kind of like just messing around with the grotto and the shrines. But yeah, you guys head off towards the north. The cave, basically the cliff face. It's not a massive cliff. It's not like this giant sheer mountain. Yeah, it's fairly flat, and there's actually kind of like a waterfall going down one of the sides.
I immediately look for treasure or caves behind the waterfall, having read many stories in my time.
I start walking into the cave.
The caves are actually all up high on the cliff.
So I have to crawl up?
They're all about 20 feet up.
Huh.
It actually took you a bit longer than the journey took you a bit longer than it did to just reach the forest. And as you guys are just kind of like looking here at you actually do notice basically another kind of cavern hole hidden behind the waterfall.
I knew it. The novel's paid off.
Do I fit in this cavern hole?
They're all quite a ways up, but they do look like they're actually fairly large. Of note, as you guys are just kind of like looking at this large wall with the caves in it, you give me an awareness check.
I don't like the sound of this.
Which one's awareness?
It's
AWR.
There, I see it. Hopefully
Oh, nice. 15 plus another 5.
Oh, yes, finally a good roll.
Hold on.
Funny.
I'm gonna fail again.
You're the new Steve. You're literally Steve.
I don't notice anything.
Tiny Willow is engrossed in this wall here. He's like, I didn't even know there's like a cave system here. I'm flabbergasted. But the other two of you actually notice off to the side a Bagboo. It does look like one of the ones that was in the grotto that you'd kind of left behind. Looks like he might have been kind of like following after you. He's rushing off to the side, and it looks like he's climbing up a kind of steep hill off to the side that leads to the top of the I wouldn't really call it a mountain. It's more like just a large kind of like a stone hill.
Yeah. I say that I bet he has some of my money, and I chase after him.
I follow.
I run ahead.
So it's a lot easier to climb up than it looks like it would have been to kind of like just kind of scale the stone wall. And as you're just following after him, he basically scurries to the top, and you find at the very top of this large kind of like hill is what looks like a massive shell. Can any of you make a wilderness check?
Here we go again.
If this tree fails again.
Well, there we go.
Oh,
yeah.
finally.
Nice.
So you expertly determined that the shell belonged to an elephant grub.
I
So
should have
this thing
stared at that wall for
is
longer.
massive, and elephant grubs basically can single-handedly almost wipe out like an entire the food source for like an entire town, just because of how ravenous they tend to be. This one does appear to be just the hollowed out shell of it, and you basically notice like a fairly large hole in the side of it, and outside are three barrels stacked up.
Ah, crap.
Full of monkeys?
Oh
We
no!
lost Praveen.
Oh no.
We lost the monkey. Let's see if we can get him back.
So these are elephant-sized grubs.
Yeah. Think of basically a giant caterpillar the size of an elephant.
And they're carnivorous grubs?
They're not carnivorous. Their bites can hurt if they actually do try and bite you, but for the most part, they're
Vegan?
more dangerous to
Pescatarian?
food sources than
He's in here.
they might actually they'd probably eat your Yakshi friend here, but they don't really eat meat.
Mm.
They just eat a lot of food.
But you couldn't miss them. They're not invisible or anything like that.
No. And this one does appear to be very much dead.
Oh, it's dead.
Yeah.
Can we notice anything that might have taken it down? Like any injuries
Well,
to the shell?
supposedly there's a hole in it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a large hole in the side of it. It does you expertly know you know everything there is to know about elephant grub. You for some reason you study them. You're a Yakshi, so you're like I need to know about these. These are dangerous. They could eat me. And you're like I have to be wary of these. So you do know that they do eventually molt, and after they cocoon themselves, they turn into a massive creature called a dragon moth.
Oh.
Which are also quite dangerous, and largely in the fact that they eat a lot of food. But for the most part, it doesn't really look like it molted or anything like that. It just looks like something killed the elephant grub probably a long time ago. It doesn't look like it was any time recent.
Do we know anything about how elephant grubs reproduce? Like, are there like baby elephant grubs that we need to be worried about?
The elephant grubs are the babies.
Oh, those are the babies. Okay, so like, as they baby, they are that size.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you do see 3 barrels stacked outside, and nearby there is a large boulder with a vine wrapped around it.
There's probably something behind the boulder.
I ask that the large one moves the boulder.
I'm
I
already
command,
doing it.
actually. I don't ask.
I'm already doing it before he was asking.
Yeah. As you're reaching down to move the boulder, it's fairly heavy, and you notice that the vine actually looks like it trails down the side of the kind of the cliff face of it.
So I'm gonna climb down.
I think that we should climb down. Yeah.
Yes, I'm
So
gonna.
I say that Tiny Willow should go first, because if there's someone or something down there, he's small enough that he may not be noticed.
I agree. So I'm gonna try to sneak down.
As you're getting ready to climb down, you hear a voice from within the elephant grub shell. Hello? Hello?
I respond, "Hello?"
Who's there?
I try to go look through the hole of the shell.
I respond, "It is I, Iser Grok of the Turl clan."
He's like, hello? Why are you in my home? As Tiny Willow kind of looks inside and sees a fairly large hulking figure, also larger than your Olvar Kier friend. He does appear to be like a humanoid. with basically gargantuan arms.
Ugh.
But skipped a leg day.
Yeah, his legs don't look particularly large compared to like his arms. It's very much almost a little bit like a gorilla. Basically, it looks like they're really, really kind of arm heavy.
I tell him that we're.
You actually notice he's got like a pie in his hand, and he was just kind of like grabbing like little fingers full and like eating bits and pieces of it.
I tell him his food looks delicious and ask him where he got it.
It's like, the little ones brought it to me. They said it was as thanks. As he just keeps fingering the.
As thanks
Like,
for what?
it's
I
like a
ask.
fairly large pie, but like in his large kind of hands, it's fairly small. He's just kind of like grabbing little bits and pieces.
I asked him if he killed this elephant grub.
Like, no, I would never kill anything.
I ask him his thanks for what?
Just.
Oh.
Oh, we lost someone else.
Rip.
There we go.
Is it well, they said it was as thanks for helping them move some other stuff out.
I tell him that pie looks awfully like some of the food that had been going missing from the town. And if he knows he's eating the fruits of criminal endeavors.
I look around for blankets.
Criminal? If you actually look around his home, there are various other like kind of. There's actually a stack of pies, just kind of like stacked up off the side, and there's like a few other kind of food bits here and there. And he's like, oh, criminal endeavor. What does that mean?
They have stolen or taken pies from the villagers.
I say my friends are hungry and ask him if he'll share a pie with them.
But you said they were stolen.
They were. The villagers did not. The villagers had set them as offerings for the great forest spirit, not as offerings for these animals.
I didn't know. That's sad. But it's still quite tasty as he continues to finger it into his mouth.
I say the monkeys seem to have a particular fondness of you. Would you mind if we brought the rest of the monkeys to you?
Oh, the monkeys, yes. They used to live here, but they moved out.
Did you
I
chase
asked him
them
why
out?
they moved out.
Yeah.
Oh, the other little ones came in and they got the monkeys to move out, and then they lived here now. And they brought me some pies that were left behind by the monkeys.
Oh, who are the other little ones?
Oh, they're the ones that live in the caves.
We haven't seen anything in the caves, right? We actually haven't gone to the caves.
Not
Not
yet.
yet.
Okay.
I asked him to describe what these little ones look like.
Oh, they're he holds his hand up towards that tiny one. He's like, he's about as tall as you, and they're tiny.
Are they? I asked him to describe other physical features of these creatures.
He kind of thinks a little bit, and as he keeps grabbing little bits of pie to eat, he's like, well, they've got eyes, and they've got teeth, and they have fingers.
I tell Tiny Willow that was a ridiculous question, and I ask this creature how we can meet with these tiny ones.
Oh, they normally come up from the caves, but you could always go in, but you should knock before entering. It's not polite if you don't.
I ask how many of them that he knows of there are.
Oh, I think there were about 6.
I ask him how they drove the monkeys out. Was it with peaceful means?
Drove? I don't think they drove anywhere.
I'm visibly annoyed.
I kick it top and I say that was a ridiculous question.
I suggest that we go down and try to meet with these creatures in the caves. Oh, wait, did he imply that they were in the caves that were like behind the waterfall or like the vine caves?
Yeah, he stops and thinks. He's like, oh, I think they're all connected. I've only been in there a little bit here and there when the little ones asked me for a bit of help.
Help with what?
Oh, just moving stuff here and there, or setting up that vine over there so they could get inside easier.
I sidebar with the others and I say that I don't trust these little creatures and that we should follow that vine down because I think it's a back entrance to the caves and we can spy on them and see what's up.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. I think the tiny willow should still go down first, though.
Yeah, I make a move towards the vine and start to climb down in a sneaky fashion.
Okay. All right. So it leads to one of the other holes that wasn't really by the waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
But it does. You do think like if you really wanted to, you could probably like swing yourself kind of back and forth to get to one of the other holes. You're not entirely sure how safe that would be, but
So I will attempt to do so.
okay. Did you want to go for the waterfall hole or the other one kind of like off to the other side of it?
The one to the other side of it.
I asked Tiny Willow if he would like my assistance in swinging the vine towards the hole.
Sure. Please don't break the vine.
I say so is the waterfall hole the one behind the waterfall?
Yeah.
I think they should go in that one. And I tell them so. But I don't say think, I say you should go in that one. And by should, I mean you have to.
So why don't you go into that hole? You are also
I ignore that comment.
I try to tell him that there's loot in the waterfall hole. I say I see something shiny in there. Are you sure you don't want to check it out yourself?
I hear this and I'm visibly pleased. I'm like, yeah, climb back up. I'll do it. It's dangerous.
I just pick them up and throw them towards the hole.
You guys are currently at basically at the top of the hill. You could try and chuck them down into one of the holes. It might not go so well if you miss.
Yeah, I don't like the sound of that comment.
Basically, so the holes are about 20 feet up from the ground and then about 30 feet down from where you guys are currently standing.
I tell my allies to resolve their silly argument before I attempt to throw them into the hole.
Wait, I'm already down the vine. All right, I'm going to swing to the opposite hole. I said, okay, I'll go to this hole. You go through the other one. Oh. And then I attempt to swing into that. The one on the other
so basically,
side.
like the farthest hole from the first hole you kind of got to?
Yes.
Okay. So that one's actually the closest to the ground.
Okay.
And inside, you actually see another rope, looking like it's kind of like tied around a stalagmite, and just kind of like it looks like it's ready to kind of like just be tossed out so someone could climb down really quickly. And we are here. So we'll be inside of the cave. It actually kind of like heads off into the distance a little bit. You see a deep, foul-smelling pit in the middle of like this just little chamber here. Looking inside, there's just tons and tons of garbage and other various things. It looks like this might be some sort of like a waste dump.
So
You see a.
I yell back up and say, "There's definitely some treasure in here. You should come down."
Knowing that Tiny Willow is trying to trick me, I climb down the vine and attempt to swing for the other hole, the waterfall.
Okay. So that is. All right. So yeah, you go to that hole, kind of like hidden behind the waterfall, and it looks like some of the water has actually kind of, over time, made a bit of a channel inside and kind of settled into a fairly large pool. And actually, like just standing here in the entrance, it actually looks like really pretty, just like the waterfall kind of like cascading past and just spraying a bit of mist here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And with the large pool of water, you notice something fairly large kind of swimming about inside.
Is it like...
It's about like the size of a human. It does look like a fish of some sort. But it's just swimming around in the pool. You notice a few other fish here and there, but there's one that's particularly large.
Can I approach the pool, or am I already standing next to it?
You're a bit of ways away from it, so you can approach it.
What do I see from my vantage point?
You see them kind of like heading inside of the holes, but you can't really see too much beyond that from up on the top.
And do I think the vine can support my weight?
Given the fact that the guy mentioned kind of crawling down into the caves, you figure it's probably quite sturdy.
Okay.
It actually looks like it's made from a bunch of different vines kind of like corded together. So it looks really, really sturdy.
I go back to the entrance and say she should definitely come into mine. There's something into my hole. There's something everyone should see.
I start climbing down.
Okay.
I grab a piece of garbage from mine and then walk to Hitam's hole.
You actually can't really walk to it. You'd have to climb across the side of the hill's face.
I will attempt to climb across the side of the hill.
Okay, give me a climb check.
What?
So with the waterfalls cascading past, the rocks actually get like really slippery, and as you get like close to the hole, you fall 20 feet down.
Ow.
As you like lose your gripping.
I attempt to catch Tiny Willow.
You were actually fairly close to the hole. Yeah, give me a precision check. Yeah.
Precision. Oh, precision is good for me. 14.
Yeah. Despite being a bit on the small side, you very expertly managed to grasp Tiny Willow as he's kind of like falling past the hole, and you get him in your big meaty grip.
Thank
I put
you.
him back on my shoulder.
So yeah, you can make your way inside of the waterfall hole. Of note though, unless you kind of do something with the rope, it would just swing back towards the other hole.
Is there like a rock or something I can tie it to?
There are a few rocks here and there that you could probably kind of tie it to keep it here.
I do that.
So yeah, there is a fairly large pool of water in here. It looks like it just kind of gathered together from water that splashed in from the waterfall.
Now that they're there, I mention the large shape and say we should go check it out.
It actually kind of floats up to the top of the little pool and just kind of stares at you.
Does it stare at us menacingly, friendly, curious?
Make a judge character check.
Okay.
Do all of us do that, or
Anyone who wants to?
I'll do one. 8.
Fail.
Wait. Damn it.
So,
Solid 5.
Acer and Tiny Willow can both generally tell that it doesn't really seem to be. Its overall demeanor doesn't really seem like it's very happy that you're here, but it's not at the moment particularly aggressive. It's just eyeing you guys up.
Can we look around the cave and see if there's like, are there any other like pathways or something like that? Like,
There is a pathway on the other side of the pool. There is a small ledge kind of circling around it.
I suggest that Tiny Willow follow the ledge.
Sure, I'll do it.
So as you follow the ledge, the creature in the pool kind of initially just kind of like keeping an eye on all of you, focuses its attention on Tiny Willow as he's just kind of like edging along the side, and it just watches you as you kind of make your way around.
Does it do anything like? Does it move towards him or anything, or is it just letting him go?
No, it just kind of like continues to swim in the center of the pool. You do notice that it does have legs, so it looks like it isn't necessarily stuck to just being in the pool.
Does it speak? I say hi.
It does not speak back. You can make a wilderness check if you wanted.
Oh,
I'm doing it.
Oh, okay, good.
Hopefully I don't fail. Okay.
Ooh.
Damn it.
Damn.
So of note, any dice can normally critically succeed. The only case where it can't is when the DM's doing a basically a difficulty check. So anytime I roll and anytime you're not really particularly rolling against another subject, like a monster or an NPC or something that has a stat that I'm rolling against, it's basically just a flat difficulty check. I make a D10 and add a specific modifier to it. So those can't roll just because the universe can't critically succeed against you, essentially. So yeah, you do identify it as a catfish. They're a semi-aquatic creature. They do live in the water, but they can survive on the land for brief periods of time. They can be particularly dangerous if you kind of like anger them. Their bites are fairly nasty, and they can deal a lot of damage with them. They also have a notable trait in that they can actually manipulate earth energy a bit and cause like small kind of very minor earthquakes in a given area, kind of knocking people down and dealing damage to them. So they're not really something you normally want to tussle with if you can help it. You get the general sense that you guys could probably fight it and do decently well against it, but it's not necessarily something you'd want to do.
Are there anything like is there any like notable triggers or like ways that we could distract it or something like that?
They are lasers.
No one's ever tried using lasers on them.
Yeah. I immediately invent lasers.
I throw a rock at your head.
Generally, they're okay as long as people don't go into their space, essentially. Whatever they kind of view as their territory.
Okay. So let's not fall into that water then. Has Tiny Willow succeeded in going across the ledge?
Yeah. It doesn't take him too long to kind of like edge himself across and get to the other side. And there is a tunnel that leads, I believe, further down into the caverns.
After seeing Tiny Willow succeed, I feel encouraged and move on to the ledge next.
Okay. It takes you a bit of time, and as you're kind of edging yourself along, the catfish kind of like turns its attention to you as it just stares at you from within the water. And after you edge your way across, you eventually get to the other side with Tiny Willow.
I do the same. I get on all fours for extra stability.
Yeah, it actually looks like if you just tried to kind of edge yourself across, just because you're quite large, it might have been a little difficult, but because you're kind of like moving across on all fours and being really careful about it, you actually do manage to get across to the other side quite safely.
I say that we should walk towards the other tunnel. All in favor? Aye.
I already start walking.
Yeah,
I just not
you get to the other side. You follow the tunnel along a little ways and get to a fairly large room. And this was so the cave here is completely covered in rough bedding made of kind of twigs and leaves and tons of blankets and various hides.
Do these look like the stolen blankets?
They do look like some of the blankets you may have seen at the inn. There are baskets of food kind of like hanging about, along with baskets filled with various trinkets. You see a few forks and spoons and other objects just kind of like strewn about.
Does the space seem neat, orderly, or is it kind of like chaotic?
Just kind of like strewn about. There are 6 creatures kind of hanging about here. All of them are just kind of like lounging for the most part. And as they see you guys kind of like head through the tunnel, they all jump out and start yelling about, like, stop, intruders! The creatures all look they all look like the same type of creature.
Mm-hmm.
They have a sort of purplish bluish skin, and they're all small size, so they're actually all about the size of a little bit bigger than a Tiny Willow. And they almost look a bit like a mix between a dog and a lizard.
Are they like armed, or are they just like...
A single one of them has a knife.
Okay. I duck behind Acer, and I say, stop, we come in peace.
Leave in peace.
I tell them... Oh, go ahead.
I asked where they got their goods from.
We earned it in glorious combat.
What kind of combat?
There was a horde of monsters living here, and we defeated all of them.
I asked them if these monsters look like freaky monkeys.
They nod their heads. Yes. Dirty monkeys. We kicked them out. Now our home, our stuff. We are champions.
I asked them if they would be willing to share their home with the monkeys. And they're actually great chefs. They make good food. I like it.
Make a subterfuge check.
Let's see. What is my subterfuge? Is that under intellect? I can't. Oh.
It's under cunning.
Yeah.
It's under cunning.
Oh, give me that one bonus. It's not my day.
You're not really a
one.
great liar. And they scream out, no, they don't know how to make fire.
I repeat exactly the same thing that Hadalam said, but, more scarily. They are.
In an intimidating manner.
Okay. Give me a subterfuge check and get a +2 to that, just because you're basically kind of a big hulking figure, and you're kind of like being really like forceful with your lie.
This was a much better 6.
They kind of eye themselves, eye each other, and it doesn't really seem like they believe you, but they are a bit scared of you. So they're like, what do we do? And they just kind of look amongst each other and say like, you see a few of them kind of getting wary of you. But the one with the dagger is like, I am the Grand Master! You cannot trick me! As he waves his little dagger around.
How should we approach this?
I take 1 step forward.
He takes 1 step backwards.
I take 1 step forward, but being careful to remain behind Acer. So just like following single file style.
He's like, halt, or we will attack.
I would not recommend that.
You think you can take down the Grand Master and all of his minions?
Yes.
I pull out my fencing foil and I'm like, look, you have that puny weapon, but I have this mighty sword. I am the true Grandmaster, and this is my minion.
I like swat to the side.
How are you, Grand Master? What have you done?
I earned this sword by defeating giants in battle. They're like this one, but twice as tall. They come from the north and attack us to steal our food. But I single-handedly faced 50 in combat and defeated them all.
He yells out, I beat 100. They were bigger giants too.
I tell him that we are actually emissaries from the forest spirit, and that if he were to attack us, he would face the wrath of the gods. And the way that I can prove that is that we have one of his emissaries as well to validate our claim. And I point at Tiny Will. Look, the messenger of the tree gods.
He kind of puts his hands on his hips very carefully after a moment, because he knows he actually like nicks himself with a dagger and so. And he just kind of like readjusts. He's like, ha! This isn't the forest. This is cave. Come back when Cave Spirit says to do something.
I get very visibly annoyed. Very, very visibly annoyed. I'm just like, all right, let's just do this, guys.
I growl loudly so that my roar echoes throughout the cave.
They kind of scatter a bit as they kind of all eye you up.
Let's see. What kind of skills am I looking at here?
I yell, you shall share the cave or you shall not be here at all.
But how will we get enough food to feed everyone?
I tell them that they can go fishing in the large pool above. There were many small fish that looked delicious to eat, and that we would volunteer to cook them a great meal. If
Yeah, he immediately yells and points at you. Liar! The Guardian keeps us out of that cave!
I tell them that the Guardian told us it was okay. He told us. It was crazy.
Make another subterfuge check.
Yes. Got him.
Which one is the Guardian? The catfish?
Ooh.
Ooh.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Yes! Victory!
Yeah, you actually managed to kind of like talk him up a bit, and you're like, yeah, the Guardian, you should have heard the things he was saying about us. You're just like, he really loves us. He's like, oh yeah, you can fish there all you want. And they all kind of whisper amongst each other, and the one with the dagger is like, if we could fish, that would be quite good. They say the Guardian likes them. They say the Guardian said it was okay to fish. And you just kind of like see the kind of like building up, and they eventually like, nod their head and say, "Yes, yes, we will share the cave with other minions, but only if you can prove this. Bring back fish."
Not like this. I tell them that they should come with us and check out the fish, so they should see which one looks good. They should tell us which fish they want.
That makes sense. You, minion number 3, go with them. And
I walk to the pool with minion number 3.
One of the scraggly little guys follows along with you.
So I tell him he should look into the pool and point at the fish. So we walk up to the edge.
You walk up to the edge, and he points like, that one. That one is delicious.
Those fish are behind him and push him into the pool, and then run away.
Make a precision check.
Sorry, I gotta find my stats here.
And his balance is...
Oh shoot, that's not how you do that. Damn it.
So you do manage to kind of like get in contact with him, but he actually seems like he's like fairly kind of agile on his feet. So you just kind of like give him a shove, and he's all like, "Oh, what are you doing?"
Oh, nothing. I was just giving you a pat on the back. Don't worry about it. Dude.
Oh, okay. But you get fish now?
I motion towards my boys. I'm like, push this guy in. Push this guy in.
I cross my arms and shake my head disapprovingly.
I say, okay, yeah, we'll get that fish for you, no worries. And then walk back towards the tunnel because nobody wants to back me up here. And then as I walk to them, I just whisper, like, these guys clearly aren't going to share the cave, and we just got to disperse justice here. Not really justice, because we're basically the villains here, but
I
disperse evil.
I asked the dog lizard creatures what else they eat besides fish.
Well, we like the mushrooms. The mushrooms are tasty, but there's probably not enough to share.
And what have they done for food in the past prior to coming to this cave?
Well, we used to live ways that way in a different forest, but there's always hard hunting game. So we came here, and then we had a grand battle, and it was amazing. I killed so many giants, more than you would believe.
And are they averse to the idea of working for food?
What kind of what work? What is
the work that other villagers may do to grow food and harvest it?
And what, they give food?
Yes. There's something called a job.
So you do stuff and food comes.
Yes.
They all seem really confused at this.
I asked them why they gave pies to the elephant slug man.
Oh, well, that's because he was nice.
You guys not eat pie?
Well, we do. You see, like, he's on the edge of, like, gears turning, but he doesn't quite seem to get what you're trying to get at.
What can we do here? I've got my arms crossed. I've clearly given up on this guy. I'm just bewildered by how slow he is. And I'm still mad at myself for failing to push him into the water, to be honest.
I asked if they would be willing to live in the elephant grub shell.
But that's where Big Guy lives.
Big Guy could share his home with you.
Wouldn't that be mean?
Not if he likes you and you're friends, right?
Yeah, but that's because we gave him food. But how would we get food to keep giving to him?
Then you do something called a job.
You give us job?
We could figure out work.
You give me job for food?
Sure.
But I would still be the Grand Master, yes?
You can call yourself whatever you want.
Yes! He holds up his dagger.
Okay.
This. Yeah, he nods his head. He's like, I am a genius. You hear this? My plan is excellent. We will trade jobs for food.
Okay, I nod to my allies, motion them to head out, and along the way, be like, okay, let's go back to the village, find something for them to do so that they can have food, and give the caves back to the monkeys.
Was this guy actually the leader, though? Wasn't he like a random minion?
But he was the one with the knife.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Oh, I thought you guys were talking back in the main cave.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
then we were.
We were back in the main cave. I was still in the main cave. I had not left.
Yeah, do you guys head back out to the pool room?
Sure.
Yeah, so
Seems like a bad idea, but
so you kind of make your guys way across the ledge again.
Yep.
Get off
Back
to
on
the
all
roof.
fours. Yep.
Do you guys climb up, or do you guys just try and jump down?
let's
Wait,
climb up.
down?
Seems
Yeah, let's go
reasonable.
back up, right?
Yeah. So you climb back up the rope, making your way up. It does actually manage to seem to support all three of you.
Nice.
And you get back to the top, and the big hulking kind of figure that was living in the elephant grub is currently standing outside with a different pie from the looks of it, and he's just kind of like grabbing little fingers full and like putting it in his mouth. He just waves, goes back to his pie.
I wave back.
I asked him if he would mind sharing his home with the dog lizard creatures.
Oh, I suppose, but it's kind of small inside.
We can build a dungeon for you out of like leaves and twigs and shit.
Okay. You're nice. He goes over and pats you on the head.
I shake it off and walk away.
Yeah. I say that we should continue our journey back to the village.
So you guys managed to make it back fairly easily. No real like major issues on the way back, and yeah, you get there, and the priest is once again looking really frazzled by the little monkey creatures just kind of like bouncing around all over the place, and he just seems kind of like he's kind of like getting close to like just like the edge of snapping.
I explained the situation that, we could resolve all his problems by giving these dog lizard creatures some jobs in exchange for food that they can then use to feed the giant creature in the elephant grub shell and move the monkeys back into the cave.
You just like see him. You see him kind of like jumping around to different ideas. And you're talking about all these different groups like exchanging. He's like, okay.
You just need to find the dog lizard creatures some jobs for food.
I think we
or
can,
fishing
I think we
equipment.
can definitely. do
Yeah, or
that.
fishing equipment.
Not fishing equipment.
But yeah, he seems like quite agreeable to this idea. He's like, yes. I can definitely talk to the headsman, and we can definitely get this sorted out. Thank you all for all your help here, and he just seems to be kind of like relieved at the thought that these guys are going to be gone from his shrine.
Wait, these guys being us or these guys being the
No,
monkeys?
the monkey creatures.
Great. So, I guess we'll leave the dog creatures to you, I say to the priest, and in that case, we should probably lead the monkeys out of here, back to the caves.
He's like, yes, like right now. Like now would be a good time. Like immediately.
I ask him for a
asked,
small fee for haste. I'm awfully tired today.
He digs around in his pockets and eventually pulls out like a fruit and hands it to you.
I love fruit, and therefore I'm like extremely pleased about this. I'm good to go. I'm like, thank you.
I asked when we should bring the dog lizard creatures back for information on their jobs.
Let me talk to the headsman. Tomorrow would probably be good.
Okay, we will bring them tomorrow then.
So I start laying out coins to like get the remaining monkeys out of the tree, and then I free the monkeys from the barrel reluctantly.
Wait, what?
Okay.
So doing so, I like kind of drag them back to this cave with us, or like to the cave area.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Gretel.
I see. You're feeding them with the coins.
So yeah, you managed to kind of like get them following after you and lead them back towards the cave. And they seemingly like very confusedly climb down into it.
Nice. Victory. So I guess I'm like, all right, good, let's leave. Done.
I motion to stop and say, I think we need to tell the dog lizard creatures that tonight they should probably stay with the man in the elephant grub shell, and that tomorrow morning we shall bring them into the village for their jobs. I start climbing down.
Oh, seems reasonable. If we have to.
Yeah. Which cavern hole do you hop into?
The one where they're all staying.
So like the waterfall one?
Yeah, the waterfall one.
You head on inside, scoot your way across the ledge and talk to the little creatures, and they're like, yes, because we are amazing.
I remain silent and lead them back over the ledge and just completely ignore what
the entire time. The one with the dagger is like, my plan worked out perfectly.
I continue to ignore them and bring them back up.
Yeah, so they squeeze in because the large guy is kind of like already quite taking up a lot of the space. It's a pretty tight fit, but they all kind of like huddle up, and they're like, the entire time the guy with the dagger is just like, yes, I'm so smart.
I'm subtly egging him on, like, yeah, that was crazy. You're a genius. That was amazing.
I look around the opening to see if there's like any kind of like additional like, twigs or like leaves or whatever to build like an extra little shelter area outside the
there are some trees here and there nearby, but you probably wouldn't really be able to get too much going right now just like on your own.
I motion to the others.
Yeah, there are a few like twigs here and there. You could probably make like a really, really shoddy kind of like makeshift little thing to kind of huddle up under.
I suggest that we could use the villagers to help us if they really want these pesky little creatures out of their homes. The monkeys, that is.
I nod.
Cool. So we should probably go back, rest up for the night, and make sure that we're good. Correct? Anything?
I tell the creatures that we'll be back tomorrow morning. With wood and to help them find their new jobs.
Okay. So yeah, you guys all head back to the village and kind of rest for the night. And in the morning, everything seems fine. No one mentions anything going missing in the village, and everyone seems quite pleased.
Nice.
But, basically, whatever has been going on seems to have kind of resolved itself. Even the priest seems quite like happy and chipper. His kind of like stress at whatever displeasure he was sensing from the spirit, and later on the displeasure he had from the monkeys running around his shrine is kind of seemingly alleviated, and he's just a lot more happier. And everyone in the village seems to be kind of like a lot more upbeat.
We should talk to the priest about jobs to make sure he got everything lined up.
Okay.
So yeah, you go to talk to the priest, and there's actually another person with him, a human who's kind of just talking about various things. And he's like, "Yes, yes, I'm so glad you've arrived just in time." He kind of like ushers you forward, and he's like, "Here is the headman. We've just been discussing what we talked about earlier." He's like, we've come to an agreement. We can definitely see about getting some jobs for the creatures, but we won't be able to do it immediately. It'll probably be about as soon as the feast is done. We can get them starting to kind of work up around town and do various things.
Could they maybe join you for the feast?
The headsman kind of seems a little antsy about that. It's like I don't know about.
I draw
that.
myself up and stare him down.
He's like I suppose we can allow them as long as they remain on the edges and don't bother anyone.
I nod gruffly.
So we should go notify these creatures, and then I think one more day till the feast. That's correct.
Yes.
I think we were also going to recruit some villagers to help build a little bit better of a shelter. So let's do that.
Let's get those guys from the inn. They didn't seem like they were doing much.
Getting drunk.
So yeah, you go gather together some people. How do you convince them to come help?
First, I try to like impress upon them the dire need for this situation, and I do that by saying, like, one by one, picking them out of the crowd, like choosing the weakest looking one, and like targeting them and going, "That was a really nice blanket you had, right?" Yeah, I know. I like blankets too. If I wanted to keep my blanket, I would probably build a shed. I'll be honest. I just do that for like every single one of them.
Okay. So yeah, you do manage to kind of get like a few people here and there. Most of them look a little tipsy and like they don't really know exactly what's going on. They're like, yeah, we'll go party. Yeah, sounds
That kind of
good.
people. So
And they stumble alongside you.
nice. Does it look like we have enough people, or we're good?
It looks like you could probably manage to make something makeshift.
All right,
If
cool.
you wanted to make something like an actual building, it would probably take a lot longer, but you could probably make like a decent shelter.
Nice. I lead my people to the waterfall.
So they all kind of get led forward and get to the area. Some of them kind of like seem to sober up a little along the way and seem really confused at where they're actually going.
Mission accomplished.
When we arrive, I say, "Let us start building," and I start making things.
Chopping down trees, whatnot.
Yeah,
Whoa, chopping down trees.
I cover up Tiny Willow's
Fallen
eyes.
wood.
Don't look.
Fallen wood. Wood that looks like it's already.
Fallen wood? I'm okay with fallen wood.
So yeah, together with this entire kind of like group that's been gathered together, you managed to make it looks really shoddy. Some of them are still a little tipsy, and you guys aren't really like skilled kind of constructors.
Trust me.
But you guys do manage to make like a decent kind of shelter for the little other kobold creatures. And yeah, it looks like it's an okay shelter.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yes, we are magnificent." The little guy with the dagger is just kind of like waving it around again. He's like, "Look at what I have accomplished."
I'm like, yeah, you did it.
I explained to them that they can join in the feast if they stay well behaved and on the edges, and that there will be jobs for them after the feast.
None is more well behaved than the Grand Master.
I nod my head and walk away.
Yeah, I leave silently.
I leave silently.
So yeah, on the way back to town, you notice what looks like a doe just kind of like staring at you guys, and then it seems to kind of like wander off into the woods, occasionally turning around to look at you.
This seems
can
like a
I-
sign.
Can I do like an animal handling check to see if it wants us to follow?
Yeah.
4.
You're not quite sure what it's trying to convey. It just seems like a really, really weird animal.
I follow anyway.
So yeah, as you guys kind of follow after it, it stops kind of like looking back at you and just kind of heads off towards the clearing in the middle of the forest. Upon reaching it, you see the wooden figure once more, standing in front of the tree, and he's just kind of like he's just holding his large wooden hands forward, and in the middle is some swirling energy, kind of constantly swirling around a ring.
I run up. I'm like, mine.
As you do so, he kind of seems to settle down, and he offers the ring forward towards you. And says,
I hold it up and go, I am the Grandmaster now.
It's actually it is actually a small ring that could fit on your finger.
Sweet.
He says
He does the same thing anyway.
I assume this is not something that would fit on any of my paws. It's probably too small.
It looked like it was actually about the size of probably something slightly larger than him, like a human. But as he actually holds it, it looks like it shrinks down.
Intriguing.
So yeah, he turns to you and says, "This is an offering, and as thanks for bringing harmony back to the woods without bringing bloodshed."
I do like a little like head tilt, like chin up. Nod.
Yeah. I do like the double fist pump. I'm not ashamed at all. I'm just like, yeah, I did it. It was all me.
Yeah,
I can't get Tom in the shins again.
He says, "This shall grant you protection from the hottest heats and the coldest of colds.
Ooh,
Never again shall weather harm you."
nice. I like after this shameless display of selfishness, I turn around and I'm like, listen, you guys, couldn't have done it without you. It's a team effort, this one. Good job. And then I slowly start to slink away before anyone questions me.
I sort of bow my head slightly towards the tree and then like, walk back out towards the village.
It nods its head as you guys leave. And yeah, you guys managed to make it back to the village in a fairly quick time. As you're actually traveling along the way, it's almost like the roots and various kind of branches in the way kind of almost move aside for you to make your travel a little bit easier. And after getting back to the village, everyone seems to be kind of in good spirits, and presuming you guys stay around, they eventually hold the feast. It's this giant, magnificent affair.
That night, as we're drinking once again, I'm like, dude, I'm like going to all the drunk guys. I'm like, check out this sweet ring I got. It's awesome, right?
I go to fetch the creatures for the feast. I didn't realize it was tonight. I thought it was tomorrow night.
No, I assumed you guys were just kind of like staying about the village. So yeah, the creatures seem relatively like they're staying in line. The one with the dagger is always just waving it around, yelling about how great he is. The others are just kind of like listening raptly to him because he has a dagger. And the feast actually is kind of like filled with various local foods. You notice a lot of the pies that you'd previously seen the big guy eating away. They seem like a local specialty of the inn, actually. And basically, there's just like this giant kind of like cheerful presence throughout everyone. And eventually they have like the massive lantern festival where they light up these lanterns and kind of like set them afloat along the river as they're kind of like carried downstream. And it's actually it's a pretty kind of happy and kind of glorious affair.
I ignore all the festivities. I'm sleeping throughout that time.
At the end of the festivities, the headsman actually kind of steps forward and mentions that he's been told about everything you've kind of done and pulls forth a single loon for each of you, or not a loon, a single skull, which is
a
equal
single
to,
crazy person just to follow you around.
So he basically gives you each a fairly substantial amount of money, and he's like, as thanks for everything you've done for our town, we've gathered together this money for all of you, and we'd like you to know that you are always welcome here.
I thank him profusely, and say that I will definitely 100% share this money with my sleeping comrades. No need to mention it to him. I swear.
He nods his head. Of course, of course.
I kick him in the shins and say, "I'm here."
I'm like, okay, fine. So I go back and I like give him the money.
So yeah, everything seems to have sorted itself out. You guys have managed to get the various parties involved, all happy and okay with everything. And
What are the
it seems
jobs
like
that the dog lizards end up doing? Pie making?
basically just menial work.
Okay.
Just like carrying random junk around, kind of like the people don't really trust them with tools at first, but they actually seem like they're, while not really bright, they're actually pretty good with their hands. So they're
What about
just
the
like,
Grandmaster? That's the real question. Does he like? Do the people start following him too? Does he become the new headsman of the village?
No. But you do notice the headsman seems to have convinced the Grandmaster to basically become like his stooge, essentially become like his servant, and as he just like runs around, he's like, "I am the Grandmaster," and talking about like how glorious he is.
Nice.
So yeah, with that, you guys have managed to not only make your way through Bagboo's on parade, but done so with without fighting anyone.
Woo!
Just the way I like it. No physical exertion
What?
required.
Uh-huh.
Didn't really like succeed at doing much. Just kind of followed other people. Mission accomplished.
I seem slightly dissatisfied at the lack of bloodshed, but my honor allows it.
Yeah, there were, if you'd actually gone through the first cave instead of going off to the second or third one like you guys did, you would have actually found like some nasty stalactites, which are basically kind of like stalagmite monsters.
Yeah.
They like eating, they're actually plants, but they do indeed like eating humanoids like you.
I knew it. You guys, this is why we always look behind waterfalls.
Yeah.
They
Good
weren't
call.
terrorizing anyone. Like they were just like content to stay in like their part of the cave. Like they weren't like.
They don't like moving around a lot, and the kobolds had already kind of known, and the bag was to not go in that section of the caverns.
Yeah. So what about the catfish? That's what like I'm so curious
Yeah.
because it didn't
Still
attack
wasn't
us
sure
or
what was
anything.
happening.
He was fairly content as long as no one tried to fish in his pool, because like those are his fish. Those are his. Only he's allowed to eat them.
Ah.
So like as long as you guys didn't go in the water or try and fish, you were generally okay.
So if we did actually push that other,
He would have rampaged around and came like probably murdered the little poor little kobold and tried to attack you guys.
I feel like we could have led
Good job.
him to the other guys. The Grandmaster played it smart. Like he honestly did. He was like, "Nah, I don't trust these guys. I'm gonna send my minion after him." I was so close. I had him almost.
He is vaguely intelligent
That's
at times. At times.
Oh man.
I know pushing
That was like-
someone into
I
this
almost made it
too
like
underhanded.
perfect ending. Just like
Yeah.
if you're playing like an RPG, like you just mind game the whole thing.
Yeah, the spirit was really big on there not being any bloodshed. So the fact that like you managed to get through things without really fighting anyone or needlessly killing people was why he kind of like granted you the magic item. And yeah, everything managed to work itself out. You got them okay jobs as moderately upstanding citizens. They have like a kind of roughshod home at the top of the cliff, and they happily go about their business now.
What's the deal with the big armed dude?
Oh, he was called a Grom. They're immensely strong, but they're really gentle for the most part. They don't really like fighting. They are frequently enslaved by these small creatures called Krull. For the most part, they just like being kind of like left alone. They're really not violent or really wanting to kind of hurt anyone. He probably would have been the roughest fight if you actually did kind of like try and duke it out with him.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it's kind of like hard to really get them to
roused into anger.
Yeah. Yeah, he was just he just kind of wandered here from I believe he was actually a escaped slave that had kind of like wandered here and settled down and just wanted to kind of live by himself. And
wow,
then
how deep into you went so deep into the backstory? Like, that's crazy.
Yeah, we basically kind of for all of the adventures, we wanted to make sure they felt like they were that the world felt real. So we basically had like all of the different profiles for the different people involved kind of written up.
Yeah.
So yeah, he basically just kind of wanted to live off on his own. He's a bit scared of people just because of past interactions. But the bag boos gave him some food to kind of build the rope for them.
Yeah.
And then from there, the kobolds just took advantage. Was like, we give him stuff and he does stuff for us. Cool.
Awesome.
Nice.
So.
Sorry, I was gonna ask, like, were the kobolds like, were they driven from their previous home, or like what?
No, they just wanted like an easier life, and so they were just wandering about, found the cave, and they're like, oh, sweet, there's tons of food here already. So they kicked the bag boos out, and the bag boos, because they had no home, went to go bug the forest spirit, and the forest spirit was getting pissed, so he was starting to bug the village. And it was basically just a giant chain of a lot of people angry that some kobolds moved in.
Yeah.
So we didn't play all the races, right? There was like a couple more.
Yeah. We had an Alvarkir, a Almiran, and a Yakshi. There were some skitty about town. They're these kind of like small little sort of weasel people. We also have humans in the game. They're the only non-unique to the setting.
Yeah. So I when I was reading over the classes, there seemed like there wasn't like races that were inherently like tended towards good or evil, except for the one like the purple people. I can't remember. It's like
the Ventelli.
Oh, with the V, yeah.
Yeah. So the Ventelli aren't really evil, but they do have kind of a dark history in that they originally came to the planet itself from another realm to basically invade. Things didn't go quite as easily as they expected, so they did carve their own kind of like kingdom out on another continent.
Yeah.
And there are Ventelli throughout this continent that we kind of have most of our beginning campaign stuff kind of set out for.
Yeah.
But for the most part, they aren't really evil so much as 90% of them can't really feel emotions.
Oh, interesting.
So there are what their species call aberrants who can feel emotion, but for the most part, they kind of look down upon ideas of kind of like camaraderie or basically feeling anything in particular.
Yeah.
They were actually they come from the dream realm and were essentially created out of the dreams of people had of hunters and things that hunted throughout the wilds. So they're sort of like literally the thing of nightmares. They basically originated out of the concept of great hunters.
Cool. And so we played a couple classes too. I mean, we didn't experience them in combat, but are there any that are like particularly your favorite that we didn't like touch on?
I really like the ninja. I generally like kind of nimble characters who just kind of like jump around, and that was the general idea of the class. For the most part, we wanted each of the classes to kind of have a very different feel to it.
Yeah.
Just to kind of make sure that it felt if you were playing a class, you weren't just doing the same thing as this class over here, just slightly different. Like you were not. We wanted to make sure that they just felt unique, while also kind of trying to make sure that you didn't really need a specific party composition if you wanted to kind of play the game.
Yeah.
So overall, we just kind of tried to make sure they all felt unique.
Yeah. I mean, you guys put in a lot of the like various paths and stuff too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting.
So, any kind of comments or criticisms about the game? Kind of things you liked, didn't like? I know we didn't really get into combat too much here.
Yeah, I mean, the combat mechanism actually seemed pretty interesting. So I speak both for like in character as well as myself that I am a little disappointed that there was no bloodshed.
You're the one who suggested we get them jobs.
Yeah, you're the one.
It seemed like the most reasonable thing to do. I mean, they weren't like, they seemed pretty harmless. It doesn't seem like they were particularly antagonistic or evil. They were just...
Yeah, well, they're they can kind of be dicks. But for the most part, they're not really like... We didn't really want there to really be like good or evil races for the most part, which is why we actually kind of avoided having an alignment system in the game. So we ended up going with the vice and virtue system. So the idea is that everyone has basically a certain kind of positive trait to their aspect or to their personality, and a negative trait to their personality, and those are basically represent the core personality traits of the person, as opposed to being specifically kind of fitting into this subset of good or this group over here who's kind of evil.
So under what circumstances would combat be triggered? Like if you, I guess, unless you intentionally provoked someone, like, Mr. Praveen over there who wanted to just shove someone into a pool.
I just think that seemed eminently reasonable. Like that was a very precisely placed catfish. I was like, it just seemed too good to be true.
It really depends on the situation. If you guys had wandered through that first cavern, the stalactites would have immediately attacked all of you, just because like you guys are food to them. With people, it really depends on how you guys are basically going through the campaign and such. So if you guys pick a fight with someone, they're obviously not just gonna like kind of stand there and get punched. But we wanted it to. For a lot of the adventures, we do have one that's more of a dungeon crawl that we ran with, I think, the RPG Academy. And that one was very much just kind of like a dive into this dungeon, just kind of experience things, as opposed to kind of more roleplay heavy stuff. But for the most part, we wanted a lot of our adventures to kind of be open enough that you could handle things in many different ways. So you didn't have to immediately just kind of like resort to combat for everything.
So how many adventures do you have, like, or pre-made adventures do you have in the Kickstarter?
I believe for the Kickstarter we wanted to have 10, but they're currently set as one of the stretch goals just because we don't have them all fully written up.
Yeah.
We do have, I believe, 5 adventures that are kind of roughly drawn out.
Yeah.
As well as a kind of rough outline for a full campaign.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not we can really get all of those in the Kickstarter, or whether they're something we do after the Kickstarter, kind of depends on how well the Kickstarter does.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit more, like, what's the timeline for the Kickstarter, like, details about it.
Yeah, I believe we were going for another... let me jump over to it. I believe we're running for another 30 days.
Okay.
We're asking for 38,000, which is basically just the printing cost for the books and the other materials. Basically, we kind of already have the game already set up and ready to go. We just need money to print the books.
Yeah.
How much is left?
We're already 13,000, so we're over a third of the way there. We started it, I think, 4 days ago.
Oh,
so
wow.
we're kind of on track to funding.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't really know if we'll really hit the higher funding goals for like the adventure book and stuff like that just yet.
Yeah.
So I feel like we'll kind of have a better view of where the Kickstarter is going to go in like the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's going pretty well so far, and I'd really like to kind of have all the adventures fully written out and ready to go. We actually got Andrew Lucas, who does work for Darkhold with Savage Realms, or Savage Worlds. He's written a bunch of adventures, and he actually wrote up this one that we played here.
Oh, that's awesome. It's actually pretty crazy.
Yeah,
awesome.
It's been a pretty hectic kind of getting everything together to this point, but we're here, and hopefully people have enjoyed the stream and kind of enjoyed how the game flows.
Are the adventures linked to each other at all, or is there some kind of theme, or are they pretty like self-contained?
We have most of them mostly done, and we've kind of talked about ways to link them and whether we wanted to kind of get them fully set together. One of the adventures we have, Big Trouble with Little Dengus. It kind of like deals with a cult of Dengu, who are these like Dengu are a sort of mole-like race. They're generally fairly nice, but in the adventure there is a cult that's kind of doing nefarious things behind the scenes and kind of manipulating the Dengu city for their own ends. And basically the writer of that one was Aaron, I believe. He just joined the team somewhat recently and kind of dove into writing up adventures, and he wants to turn it into a full campaign on its own as well. So it's kind of we have a lot of ideas for where we'd want to go and where we'd want to take a lot of these kind of opening adventures and how we'd want to link them together. But at the moment, it's kind of all the sort of like future plans, simply because we really don't know what the next step that we take kind of depends entirely on how the Kickstarter goes. I know Kirsty has a 3-year plan for like how she wants to produce things and kind of get things planned out. But whether we kind of like get to them early or not is really up to kind of people listening in and whether they enjoy this.
Yeah. Okay. So this was Endless Realms. Thank you everyone for watching, especially thank you so much for coming on and DMing the whole thing and letting us play with it. I know I'm not the best role player, so this was actually like, I actually thought it was really simple and easy to get into, especially compared to some of the more like intensive character creation stuff. So I had a great time. We will be running the I believe the video that came on at the beginning to kind of hype up the stream will be coming again. Before that, let me just remind everyone, I think we're playing high roller horse racing on Wednesday, and I guess we'll be featuring horses from the 2018 Kentucky Derby, which I literally know nothing about whatsoever. I don't like horses, slightly terrify me, so I would debatable whether or not that's even going to happen. Apparently the Kentucky, I've been told by my people, they're back there, you can't see them. I've been told the Kentucky Derby is next weekend. So that makes it oddly appropriate and topical. But anyways, thank you guys again for watching. Thank you so much for the guys from Endless Realms. Please check out the Kickstarter, which we will have our producer link in the chat. And see you guys next week.
See you guys.
Endless Realms is a new role-playing game featuring a D10 die system. Experience hundreds of unique items, spells, skills, creatures, and spirits. 9 unique playable races along with 10 classes, each containing a plethora of lore, mechanics, and new themes that you have never experienced in another RPG universe. Comparative systems for combat, social interactions, and other aspects of gameplay reward strategy, teamwork, and on-the-fly thinking. Want to get lost in a new role-playing universe? Explore and experience the wonders and mysteries of the Endless Realms.